everybody. What's going on, man? I
What is that accent?
don't know. I'm just being silly today. I'm being silly today. And
Okay.
so, welcome everyone to the show. Today, we have a lovely guest named Rissa on the show today.
Welcome,
And
Rissa.
Jordan.
Hi.
Hi. And Jordan, what's our topic for today going to be?
Today, we are going to be diving into the topic of untangling ties, navigating unhealthy family relationships. Dun, dun, dun. We going in.
We're going in. We're going in.
We
Family
are.
relationships. And we all got family. We love them. While we do love them dearly, however, we do have some that tend to get on our nerves, for a lack of a better term, they don't have our interests at heart.
That's fair.
You got your users, you got your judgmental people, you got your you can do bad by yourself kind of people. So, yeah, those things. Good, bad, and ugly. All
Yeah.
right.
A couple of weeks ago, we did a podcast episode and we talked about unhealthy relationships, but we were talking more about romantic relationships. And now we're going to lean into more of the familial side of it. So, to kick off the conversation, first things first, let's define family. Like, what does family mean to you, and how do your expectations align with the reality of your actual family dynamics? So, let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Jordan, how about you? What does family mean to you?
So, for me, most people think that family is like blood, but for me, family is unconditional love, right? Um, those people that, regardless of what I do, regardless of what I say, regardless of the condition that I'm in, I know that I can lean on them. I know that they will be there. They may say some questionable things, but at the end of the day, they're going to be there for me. Like that, for me, is what family means. Now, in reality, what that looks like is something completely different. But before we go into that, I'm going to let everybody else say their definition of family. Oh, Rissa, it's nice to see your beautiful face.
Hi. I'm just trying to find something to hold my camera up with.
Okay. What about you, Rissa? What are your thoughts on what family means to you?
Family is who you choose to let around, your personal space, who you choose to share like your life, your
Mm,
dreams, your aspirations with, people that you feel comfortable with, you know, getting down and dirty, being honest with, and not feeling like you have to put on a show or pretend for people.
right.
So, family to me is somebody that I can call when I need them, somebody that I don't necessarily have to talk to all the time, but
Right.
when I need them, they'll come running. They'll pick up the phone.
Yeah.
They'll find a way to get to me to meet my needs.
Yeah. Thank you. What about you, Mike?
Family is a lovely thing, and I will have to say that when it when it comes to family, I'm with you on that. It's the people that support you. Your day ones. Family doesn't necessarily have to be blood. It can be
Yeah.
blood, but at the end of the day, families, people, it's you can make your family,
Yeah.
and it's like what Marissa said too, and how you both said, you both touched the nose on it. It's the people that support you, that are there for you, that see the greatness in you, and they want the best for you.
Yeah.
And how you said, at times you got family members that are questionable. They gonna be there for you. They gonna talk trash. They probably gonna give you a little lecture, but at the end of the day, they still there for you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then you just got the ones that are that to me is in a sense of what family is. Just like
Yeah.
I've known you, Jordan, for a very long time. I've known Rissa for also a very long time. So, and I consider you both to be family to me. At a
Yeah.
drop of a dime, you call me for anything, no matter what. I'm gonna pull up and I'm gonna show up, whatever it is. I'm gonna be there
Same
for you,
here.
and I know without a shadow of a doubt, y'all would do the same for me. So, you know, what I mean, family doesn't necessarily have to be blood, but it is the bond and the connection that we have with one another, and that's what
Yes.
makes it wonderful.
So then we all gave pretty much similar definition of what family means to us. Now when you think about your actual blood, like do the expectations align with the reality of your blood dynamics?
While you want it to be, Why you want it to be? You really do want it to be. At times it don't. It don't line up.
Mhm.
Where and I've adopted this persona of once they show you who they are, now you know how to deal with them and you
Yeah,
act
right,
accordingly. You know what levels you can deal with them at, and you know what levels
right.
you ain't gonna do. And when they hit that timer or that level, and it's just like, oh, time for me to go. Time for me to go. I'll
Yeah,
see you next year, type of thing. And then you got the family. Oh, you always got to check up on her. Y'all hang out, y'all like friends and stuff like that. So
right.
it's different. It's different. While we want the same thing, while we want them all to be that for us, unfortunately, some of them don't show up to that level for us.
Yeah. And I think that's, true when I think about my immediate family, like yes, okay, they're for the most part family. I got some sketchy peoples that I would like to hope would be there for me, but if I ever needed them, I'm not sure they would actually answer the phone. Like that's the reality of it, and I accept that reality. But I also understand that with those people, if there was an emergency, I just wouldn't call them. That's just what it comes down to. Um, but for the most part, I would say that my family meets my expectations. Like I've I've lived a wild life sometimes. I've done some crazy stuff. I said some crazy stuff. And for the most part, my family has been like, okay, that's Jordan. She's doing it. But we still
Yeah,
love that one right there. We still love that one.
yeah,
So
for sure.
I appreciate that aspect of it. But yeah. Any other Risa, did you want to input on this?
I feel like immediate family shows up for you. They show up for me when I need them. Do they always give me the expected things that I want when
That's a
I
good
see
point.
them? Now that's another question.
Right.
Like I know that they support me the best way that they can, and we all grow up differently. So the way that they support is how they feel like they probably needed to be supported, but it's not necessarily the way that I want them to
Yes.
show up for me all the time. But do I feel like I could call certain people and when I needed something? Yes. Not everybody, but
Yeah.
will they all show up for a good time for a party? Yes. But you don't use everybody as your emergency contact person.
Right.
No, you really don't.
And that's a fantastic point that you brought up about, people meeting needs because yeah, when you have a need, there's a specific thing that you need to meet that need, but everybody can't meet that need because some people are only capable of seeing, okay, well, if this was me, if I was in this situation, this is what I would want. So this is what I'm going to offer you.
Mhm.
Anything else is too much. You're asking too much of me.
Mhm.
And so it is really important, not just when dealing with family, but dealing with people in general, understanding that perspective. Oh, we got somebody else on the line. Hold up. Hello, Lisa Marie. Thank you for joining us.
What's happening, my beautiful friends? How's everybody today?
Good,
Hi.
Pretty good.
good. We're just.
Where's the birthday presents?
Oh, it's your birthday?
My birthday was last Saturday. I came on a week later to give you time to get them.
Oh, happy birthday!
No, the presents. No, the presents.
You should have sent us a message. Then we would have been prepared. We would have had a whole background for you and like the whole streamers
My
for the whole
bad on that.
time.
I didn't share that with you. My bad.
You
Happy
failed me,
belated.
Mike. You
Happy
too.
belated.
Happy belated
Lisa,
birthday,
thank
yeah.
you for
Right?
joining us. Jordan, break down the topic to Lisa. So
Hold on a
So,
second. Let me get my
Lisa,
headphones because football's on, so we're trying to multitask.
I see the
the
jersey on.
jersey.
It's NFL Sunday. Yeah.
But that's devotion. Thank you for sharing your NFL Sunday with us.
Just so my friend was like, "You got to jump on now," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Uncle Mike, needs me, so whatever Uncle Mike needs, we got him." He's
Oh,
like,
see?
Again,
"Okay,
Family.
family. You feel me? Gonna
facts."
pull
Perfect
up. Gonna
example.
pull up. Gonna pull up. You feel me?
All right, so get me excited about the topic this week. What do we got going
All
on?
right. So, this is kind of a continuation of the last episode that you were on. We were talking about unhealthy relationships, but now we're talking about navigating unhealthy relationships within the family unit. So that's what we're dealing with today. So the question that we originally asked was, what does family mean to you?
Family is something that can get misconstrued. It doesn't have to be biological. Um, Me personally, myself, I'm adopted. So I was raised by an Italian and Polish man when I was 9 months all the way to this current moment. So family is not something that's
Yeah.
biological. Um, Loyalty,
Mm.
see, some of your biggest traumas come from your family. It's just being
True.
honest. Things that you see, things that you go through. And it takes you as an individual to decide whether you're going to continue those routines or if you're going to break those chains
Yeah.
and do things a little bit different. Um, I love my mom and dad to death, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. They had an opportunity to have children the unethical way,
Mm.
and they decided to adopt two children that were not of their race. Back in the 80s, that wasn't something that was frowned. That was something that was frowned upon. It was either you had children of the same race and you grew them into your foundation, or if you had children of a different race, um, you were raising them to be something that they weren't. And with that being said, my dad didn't know how to give us the Latin culture that we grew up with. I'm Colombian, my brother's Colombian. So what he did was so strategic. He moved us into a neighborhood where everybody around us was Latin. And I learned my
Oh, that's
cultures from,
beautiful.
and Mike, you can be honest, I learned my cultures from everybody. So I can tell you that I have some Puerto Rican traditions, I have Colombian traditions, Ecuadorian, Venezuelan, but he couldn't give us that culture
Right.
that he could give. Now I've got some Polish traditions that I know about as well as some Italian traditions, but he couldn't give us what we needed for us to have our identities.
Right.
So he did the best that they could. And by doing that, they moved us into a Latin culture neighborhood, predominantly Hispanic. Our school was predominantly Hispanic, the area that we were in. So I learned everything cultural wise from everybody around me and adapted what worked best for us.
Right. That's
But yeah,
beautiful.
loyalty is something that, in my personal opinion, is key when it comes to family.
Right. I love that. And the follow-up question we had to that was, how do your expectations of what family means to you align with your actual blood relationships?
Complete opposite. Complete opposite. So I have a brother who is not biologically my brother, but we adopted him shortly after myself was adopted. And we grew up in the same household. And it took me 6 months to almost a year ago to find out that although we were brought up in the same home, same morals, same everything, we are not DNA the same. My brother and I don't get along. We don't talk. After my dad passed 3 years ago, he was supposed to step up. That's just what you're supposed to do. I had to step up without being told it's your time to pick the ball up and run, which means I inherited my mom. Traditionally, you don't see Latin cultures putting their families in homes. You'll usually see them in the homes of your Latin friends. It's just a cultural thing. So I won't put her in a home. So I inherited my mom, and my brother was supposed to help. It's supposed to be 50-50. Everything on your end, you take her to your side of the town. Everything on my side of town, I'll take her, and so forth. And he just didn't step up.
Mm.
Um, we were estranged 2 years prior to my dad passing over something petty,
Mm.
just being honest, a miscommunication. And as my dad knew his time was coming, he filled out a will, and I had power of attorney. And I asked my brother if he wanted to continue this route. COVID had just happened. We lost over 1.5 million people to it. We weren't able to see families. You guys experienced the pandemic. You know how many people were lost. And I asked my brother if he wanted to continue that route. And he said no. So me and my son started hanging out with my brother and things of that sort. And then my brother was holding on to some unresolved issues in regards to adoption. He takes adoption as a form of I was left behind as opposed to the blessing that it is.
Right.
Yeah, you may have been left behind by whatever that creature is that birthed you, but in the same sense, you were found, you were raised, you had a roof over your head, you have opportunities and blessings, and your kids now. He doesn't look at it like that, like I do. And I said, "Are you sure you want to go down this route?" Long story short, and he was like, "No." I start hanging out with him, and he was, disclosed to me that he felt abandoned. And when mom and dad didn't talk to him for the 2 years over the petty, misconstrued, um, he said he felt abandoned by my parents, our parents. So I told my dad about it. My dad reached out to him, and that was one of the things. We may get in a big argument. We go out to a big meal, sit down, have a conversation. We're over it. You know what I mean? No one actually says sorry, but we move on to the next. We don't hold that grudge. My dad offered to take my brother out for his birthday. And my brother said, "No, I'm just not ready to talk to you guys about it." And then 3 weeks later, my dad passed without my brother resolving that issue, confessing how he felt to them personally on what he felt about them not talking in the 2 years and things of that sort. And my brother now has to live with that. To
Right.
the point where he won't even come to the house to help his mom. So we haven't seen my brother in about 2.5, 3 years. We were raised in the same house. We have the same morals. Divorce is not an option. When you find the person that you want to be with, you spend the rest of your life. You therapy, you do the things, you make the work, you do the time. Um, but unfortunately, he didn't go that route. He ended up getting a divorce, being promiscuous, doing things that you're not supposed to do in a marriage that resulted in ending up in divorce. So DNA doesn't always make a family, in my personal opinion. And Mike knew I grew up with when my brother, like, I had to fight for my brother because he's not a fighter. Like, that's how close we were, to the point where we don't talk at all. Not even holidays, birthdays, or anything like that. So I don't know what people's foundation of family is, but it's not something that you can make. Family are the people who are there when you need them, even when you think you don't need them.
Yeah. And I think that's the hard part about our culture right now is that we went from, when you think way back when, the family was like the core unit of America. It was all about family. And now it's all about the individual. And family is just these people that are, extra weight, this burden that I have. And I think that's part of a lot of the issues that we have in our society is we're so wrapped up in the individualism that we forget that the core foundation of family and what that truly means.
And I think it starts at a young age. I know for a fact that my parents knew Mike's parents, and I couldn't go to Mike's house unless
Mm-hmm.
he knew his
Mm-hmm.
parents and my parents
Right.
knew his.
Right.
Um, that whatever that is not done anymore.
Mm-mm.
You don't have that foundation. I think I've gone to Mike's house for Thanksgiving a couple of times, or he's come to mine, and those traditions that we thought were so tedious are so necessary to keep the family a family.
Right. That connection. Yeah. Anybody else have anything to say before I ask my next question?
Rissa, you got anything to say, Rissa?
No.
Okay.
So then, with that being said, all of us have pretty much said that, our definitions of family don't necessarily align with our expectations for our actual family. So, what strategies have you used to protect your mental and emotional well being when dealing with unhealthy family relationships? Like,
I
how do you navigate that?
I would say I would say I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go in on this. Um, the deal with the navigation aspect of it is hard. I'm not gonna lie, it is hard. But then it's like open communication.
Mm,
And that's a lot of things that we don't do as a culture is talk openly about our thoughts and our feelings. And it's just like Lisa said, even though some stuff was said, nobody said sorry, we just squashed it.
that part.
Wow,
Mm,
while we squashing it, we ain't really squashing it. We just
right.
like we have like in order for something to fully be done, you got to be like, hey, this happened. Yeah, I don't like what you say. You didn't like what I said,
Right.
but we
Right.
still blood though. So you know what I'm saying. Let's come to that. We gotta address it, but we're in the presence of the avoidance of that conversation. And like the last our last podcast we did about men basically dealing with trauma,
Yeah.
and it's like talking about family dynamics and basically being able to deal with your emotions and speak internally or intellectually about your emotion and explaining yourself to people is hard for a lot of men because we haven't been taught how to do that properly. So when given the opportunity, the only thing we can do is avoid, pretend it doesn't exist,
Yeah.
punch something, hit something, rather than say, I'm feeling this way,
Right.
but we do, and again, like I said before, there's not a safe place for men to basically like even when they got their boys and even if they got their family, we're still programmed in our mind. It's not a safe space to mention your emotional issues. You got
Right.
you're a man. You're supposed to suck that up and keep it going.
Right.
And while that is the aspect of us mentally, but in the backside, and it causes a lot of effects. Like Lisa was saying about her brother doing all the things that he was doing, that's a person operating from a trauma response where he doesn't
Right.
know how to properly express himself without feeling like, okay, we understand you mad, but talk, use your words, talk,
Right.
and people don't, and a lot of men don't want to do that. And so having that conversation with your family, being a Haitian is like one of the things where you're trying to talk to them and it's like, oh, you trying to fight me, or you're trying to beat me, or you don't listen.
It's
Oh,
an
you
automatic
know,
defense. It's an
it's
automatic
automatic
hostility.
defense. It's like you're not listening to me. Whether you have valid points or not, it doesn't matter. What I say matters, and that's all that is, and it's concrete. And unfortunately, when you come to people like that in family, the only thing you can do is back away, let them be. You mean you talk to them when you can. If the relationship is important to you enough, you're gonna still put forth a little bit of effort, but at the same point in time, it ain't gonna be as strongly as you would like it to be. Because for instance, what was that? A friend of mine was telling me how his dad was like, "Oh, how come none of y'all don't do this for my birthday? Do this for my birthday?" And he was like, "Pops, you didn't raise us to be celebrating birthdays, so now you
Hmm.
at an age where you want us to do that for you, but that was not something you installed in us. You didn't, you know what I mean? You didn't where and it's like like his trauma. He felt bad about it, but at the same point in time, now he's realizing as an older person, it's like you wanted that, but you want that what you see, but you can't. You don't know how to go about receiving it, and your kids
Right.
don't know how to go about giving it to you because they weren't taught that. So, in retrospect, to answer that question, how do you deal with it? It's trying to have that conversation. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be uncomfortable. It makes you run away. It makes you want to like scratch at the wall or do something, whatever. But you just gotta fight. You gotta fight the uncomfortable feeling of it
Hmm.
and just go through it. And it's easier said than done. It's easy to say it than to actually do it. Because as you're doing it, your hands get clammy, your stomach is in knots, your throat's getting dry and everything, and then it's just all uncomfortable because you're acting in a way that you've never done before, and that's expressing yourself to a family member that they're probably one not going to respond well to because they don't know how to deal with it, and as you're trying to basically make that first step into making this change, they're not aware of it either, and they're either like not mature or not ready for that step either to be taken. So that's one thing I can think of, and then the other one is avoidance, which we know that doesn't help anybody because avoidance, we end up with situations where somebody dies and then it's like a lot of things were left
Right.
unsaid
Right.
because of pigheadedness and pride, and a lot
Lisa,
of
what's
things
that face saying?
that,
I am raising a 9-year-old young man, and it's 2023, and trying to teach him to use his words, embrace the emotion that he's feeling at that very moment, and then react is very hard. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's
be-
it's
and
2023.
no,
Like,
it's
how do you do
not.
that?
No,
Society.
I'm gonna tell you why it's even harder because what you're teaching him, because he's a boy, so what you're teaching him between you and him. But then once he leaves your space and he gets with the fellas who still operate in that same mentality, and that's where it becomes even more difficult because he's learning from you, but he's getting more influence from the male figures.
Mm.
Now, I am not the ideal person to get this from, but I resort to violence first. I'm just going to be honest. Somebody pushes my child, I'm pushing their child. If somebody puts their hands on my child, I'm not talking about it. I'm putting my hands on you and then we talk about it. You know what I mean? That's just the life that I live. But I'm trying to teach
Appreciate
him
your
to do
honesty.
better. My son is not a fighter. He's not a talker. He's not a fighter. He's the complete opposite. He will let you push him down. He will let you knock him down. He'll let you do those things. And then when he gets to the point where he's on the verge about, then he may do something, but he doesn't fight back. He won't use his words either. Society has taught us that when men communicate or articulate their feelings, they're soft.
They're the B words, or they're acting P. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You can't crying is not good, crying is bad, or don't bring them around people who look a certain way or so, because he's going to end up acting or adapting to that environment. And it's like, it's a double-edged sword. Don't let nobody hurt you. Like, I still parent the same way my parents are. Don't get in a fight unless absolutely necessary, you feel threatened, but at the same time, don't lose. You know what I mean? I know y'all's parents have told you that. Don't come home with an L, because you're going to get the rest. I'm going to finish what you didn't start. You know what I mean?
Thankfully, my parents didn't tell me that.
Oh my gosh. Mine
But
did.
I've heard it. I've heard it.
You've heard it. Mike, don't play you.
Oh no, oh no. Listen, in elementary school, that was one thing, but then when you got older and then they took it to they took what you I took what they said the truth, man. Them beatings at school, and I got home. The beatings for getting caught for getting beatings, man. I was just I
Oh.
don't know. It's a double edged sword. I couldn't win for losing. It was like you told me to stick up for myself, but I didn't tell you to fight. That's the purpose of it. That's the whole thing.
Exactly. It's the double-edged sword.
Beating
Don't
what you
fight.
just told me. I didn't tell you to fight. I didn't tell you to get in trouble. You're supposed to do it and not get in trouble. Huh?
Oh.
Yeah.
You missed that part.
All right. All right. So, PTSD. Go ahead. Anyone else?
But it is harder. It's so hard to teach that. Like, you want to open space and you want it to be safe. It's not safe. That's the other thing.
Right.
Kids nowadays, you may have the courage to speak up and say, you know what, Jimmy Brown, you made me feel bad and I didn't like the way that felt. And then they take that and turn it around and you're traumatized by it. You're bullied because you chose to tell them how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, in my personal opinion, the best way I tell my son, in regards to bullies and things of that sort, and people who are just not safe for your space, take them out of your space. Ignore them. Try to avoid them as much as possible. And that's what I'm currently doing with my brother. I can't. Talking it out is no longer an option. Sitting there listening to your trauma, I did. Sitting here listening to what you had to say and how you felt during the time frame when you were estranged, I heard. When Dad extended the olive branch and you chose not to bite it, I understood you weren't there yet. And then when he passed, you said, well, now I'm the man and I have to step up. I've gotten to the point where mean what you're saying, say what you mean, bro.
Yeah.
When you don't see it, if you can't do it, don't write the check your mouth can't cash in all reality. Just don't say it. And I didn't say I was going to pick the ball up. Like I said, I didn't have a choice. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to. All you got to do is your part, which is not that much. It's very minuscule. But you can't. And it's not because you can't physically, financially. You choose not to because whatever it does to you, whatever demons you're dealing with from that closure that you didn't get,
it eats away at you.
It's affecting your blessings in the future.
It's hard, and it's harder to tell somebody they need therapy when, as a man, hearing the word therapy is like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And so you can't tell somebody that. I mean, you're supposed to, but it's a whole generational of men out there thinking that the word therapy or getting someone to talk to about your emotions is a dirty word. It's disrespectful. You're saying they're not mentally strong. They're not physically strong to continue their duties as a man. So when you say you need therapy, every man is going to take it as an insult.
Yeah, it's offensive.
It's
Saying there's something wrong with me.
How would you want to be presented with going to therapy, Mike? You're the man.
How would I want to be presented? To be honest with you, don't say I need therapy. Offer it. Like, but to be honest with you, that's my response to it because at the end of the day, that's the response
Yeah.
we're gonna look at it as. I'm not strong. I'm weak. I need assistance. No, I can do this myself. I don't need a therapist. I got this. Where's the liquor?
So can I, to answer your question, Lisa, because that response right there is what I get a lot and what I hear a lot in working with people, women from about their partners, and what I have taken to is being like, let's go to therapy. It's me. Let's go together so you can support me. But while you're there, hint, hint, they're gonna be working on you. But that's going with them, letting them know that it's okay, that this is a safe space. We're gonna do this thing together. It's not about you. It's not all about you. We're doing this thing. And for some people, for some men, um, that makes it seem more acceptable because then they can tell their boys, oh yeah, my wife is making us go to couples therapy or whatever. And there's this like safety net to it because there's a scapegoat, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
so
but
agree, and
yeah,
I agree with you on that. But if you're not attached to the hip or you're not with somebody, anybody saying that, hey, you need therapy, it's an insult. Them fighting words right there. I ain't gonna lie. They're not gonna fight you,
yeah,
but they gonna get aggressive with you, and they may distance themselves from you because that's like saying you're weak. It's
or
literally and
crazy. That's
unfortunate
another one
or
too.
crazy, yeah. And unfortunately, that is the stigmatism that is built
Yeah,
behind the whole over hyper masculine behavior that we push out there a lot.
yeah,
And and it ends up with it ends while it's great for us in the bullpen. What I'm saying, you getting your masculinity in your single life, but then when you come into a relationship with somebody else who's been able to communicate emotionally, speak about their feelings, deal with their angers and emotion process and everything else like that, how to deal and process emotions, and you're dealing with somebody who has zero experience in that, there's going to be a heavy collide of clashing that's going to take place, and a lot of us avoid, or actually we get in a relationship and completely forget about that extremeness happening. And
yeah,
so even with family, going back to the whole thing with family and everything else, that is something we definitely need to talk about when you're dealing with male families and female family members. Like when you're dealing with a female family member, all right, so and so communication and stuff. When you're dealing with male family members, it's the same. It's the complete opposite because they don't know. Like no one has ever given us the blueprint on how to basically,
mm,
as a man, address your emotions and still remain a man, still look masculine, not weak,
mm,
but still
mm.
remain strong and capable of doing your job,
How to
provide and
masculinely
protect.
express your emotions.
How to masculinely express
Mm,
your emotions and not have somebody think they can try you, pick on you,
right,
bully you, or
right,
or in a sense lose your respect. Because
right.
it's hard because we're being taught not to speak about it. We're being taught, oh, I don't talk to my partner about it. My partner is my partner. We do partner things, but they
Right.
can divulge to me, they can tell me things, they can be deep with me, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, okay, that's nice, I got you, I
Right.
understand, that's tough. And what about you? No, I'm okay, I'm good, I ain't got nothing going on, I'm straight. And that's what a lot of men will say. No, no, I can't talk about myself. I can't talk about my trauma because I don't know how to deal or express that properly. And the only thing I can do about it is push it down and avoid it.
Can
Push it
I?
down and avoid it.
I'm going to propose a question. Does relatability and race have anything to do with therapy? I made it a point
For,
that my son
Mhm.
currently sees a therapist now. He has some unresolved grief since my dad passed.
hmm
With that being said, I made it a point to find someone who could be as relatable as possible to him,
Yeah,
Yes.
and that
it's very important.
makes a difference. So we found an African American woman. She wears Vans, hoodie, beautiful natural hair, but it made it such a smooth transition
Right. More
to
comfortable.
from
Yeah.
the absolutely from our Caucasian therapist to our African American. It was a relatability. I think if, as a society, we saw more people of color and gender, that we might be more receptive to go. Like I've heard from my friends, what this white lady know about being Colombian or whatever it may
The
be, or a black
judgment.
man. Like, what she know it is to be a
Nah,
black man
because
in a relationship with a white woman. You know what I mean?
they
Like,
don't know. They don't know. They're going off for and to be honest with you, for some people it may help them out. And if you're taking it from a textbook style, it's a great approach to it textbook wise. But in actuality, it's like it's just textbook. You're not really getting any information from somebody. You don't know the highs and lows. When I saw a therapist, it was a white guy, and I'm like, he don't know what it's like for me to be a black man in this world, going through getting
Mm,
pulled, the anxiety I feel when I get pulled over by the cops. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The fact that every now and again you meet a black woman who's all angry and hyper masculine because the last dude or she got daddy issues and all
mm,
of that, and it's just like, yeah, you don't know what I'm going on with here, Chuck. Okay, there's a difference. All right, for me dealing with real life scenarios, not just work and my trauma. You know why I'm not going to talk about my trauma? Do you know why we do? Do you know why? Well, no, I don't know why. Maybe it's unresolved, sir. See, I'm a lash at you because you don't know,
right.
and so therefore it's not your fault. You're not immersed in the culture, so you don't know. So I can't yell at you,
right.
so I have to leave. But Marissa, what are your thoughts? Your face is just like,
I'm taking it all in because I agree with what y'all are saying. So there's nothing really for me to add to it. I agree with what you're saying. Like personally, I've never been in therapy, but if I were to start, I would want somebody that I feel like can relate and understand what
Hmm.
I'm saying and not just what you said, give me some textbook answer because a textbook
Right.
isn't real life. Like it gives you scenarios that may never interact with real life, like issues. And especially now in this day and age, the issues and the problems that we have going on, you
Yeah,
can't tell me that your textbook taught you that.
Correct.
that is true.
So if I'm gonna do it, I want somebody relatable. I mean, even just when I was picking a primary care doctor, my OBGYN, I picked women
Yeah.
of color because I feel comfortable. And sad to say, and not sad, I don't feel sad about it. I chose when I walked into my room and I had my baby and I looked at my nurse in her face when I could tell that she was not of Caucasian descent, I felt 10,000 times lighter
Mm,
because I know the high mortality rate of Black women
right.
giving birth because you can't tell that I'm in pain, even though I'm telling you I'm in pain.
Right.
Because I
Mhm.
can bear that pain more than someone of the opposite color of me that you think that my pain isn't as intense as theirs.
Or it's
Oh,
a
that's a
young
whole
mother
nother
who's having,
conversation.
yeah,
Ooh.
it's a young mother who's had a child for the first time and she's inexperienced. She doesn't know.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good topic for
I
next.
need to write that. Yeah, that is a whole. Ooh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a whole subject. That's a whole another episode. Yeah. You know what I
But
mean?
it's true. Just a sidebar. My son was in a predominantly white school last semester, and I noticed a trend of decline. And me being a person that I am, I did research and studies and things of that sort. And it sounds simple, but when surrounded by those who look like you tend to flourish and excel more. So we did some things and maneuvered some things, and he's actually in a school where he is in an environment where he's safe.
Mm,
And he has an instructor who's African American who comes to school button down every day with a bow tie to match and the shoes to match.
oh,
And he has different ethnicities and biracial. Like usually, Tyson's usually the only African American Hispanic child, as opposed to black and white, which is predominantly what is the school that he used to be. Out of a class of 50, there's only two biracial children and one black in his entire grade. So we transitioned into a different school, and Tyson is A's and B's. The environment makes a difference. Feeling
Mm-hmm.
comfortable when you're getting your hoo ha looked at is extremely important. Knowing that
yeah.
she may
Yeah.
be dealing with something that I'm dealing with, as opposed to Dr. Susie Q, who has no idea, makes a huge difference. So I think it's all
Well,
about
it
the
really
environment.
comes down to Yeah, what everybody is saying, it comes down to feeling safe.
Yeah.
Mm.
And for most people, and this is across the board, they feel safe with people who they feel like they can relate to. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, that's generally going to be people that look like you or come from the same background as you or have some kind of connection.
Relatability.
Not like you're up here on this pedestal looking down at me, trying to fix whatever issues I come with. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that.
No, and valid points on that. What I would like to ask you, Marissa, so in a situation when it comes to family, and how do you deal with the families that are not supportive, that are not um good at basically helping you out, or basically they're blood, but they want to be around you, but they're not good for you. How do you deal with them when it comes to shutting them down, or just like not dealing with them at all?
I keep them at a distance. I feel like I'm the type of person, like, I don't pick up and call everybody. So if I'm gonna make the effort to call people, it's people that I feel like love me, that want the best for me, that support me in whatever things that I'm planning to do in the future. People that don't talk down on me, don't talk bad behind my back. People that are real. And I feel like I keep that circle very tight, whether it's friends, whether it's family. Like, I'm not hanging out with everybody in my family, because everybody don't do right by you, don't do right by me, wouldn't do right by my baby. So you have to be selective. And I think the older you get, the more selective you are with the people that you
Mm-hmm.
choose to be around
Right.
and to let around in your space.
Agreed. I've gotten to the point in my life where my peace and my salvation is more important than anything else. Like
Hmm.
you can have all the negative energy if you want it. I just cut you out, no problem. Like I ain't got no problem cutting anybody out. No hesitation.
Hmm.
As opposed to when I was younger, I'd give you a chance. Shame on me, shame on you type situation, chance after chance. So no, I strongly say cut it out. If you can control it, control your peace.
Yeah, nah. A teacher back in high school said everybody starts in my class with a name. It's your
Mm,
job to maintain it. So
Right.
when it
Right.
comes to trust and love and all of that, I give you an A. Off rip, you get my 100% trust and love ASAP.
Right.
It's your
Right.
job to maintain it. If you go from an A, you got me 100, and then now I'm just like, yo, what's up? Nah, I'm good. Yeah, you straight. And I'm short with you. That means it's on you. It's not me being funny. I was good to you. You just violated the goodness I gave you. So now my
Mm.
presence in dealing with you is at a minuscule point. It's very low. Because now I know how you act. I'm gonna act accordingly. You don't deserve an A.
Mm.
You deserve an F. And when
did
you
you
get an
tell them what
F,
they did to get the F though?
tell them for what reason they gotta ask. If you care, you gonna ask, right?
Nah, I'm keeping it
You gonna
moving.
ask, right?
I,
If I
I don't know. If it's
tell
you,
you
yeah, I'm gonna ask you. You know what I mean? Like you mad at
exactly.
me, I
If I'm mad,
value you.
but
Yeah.
you gonna see I'm mad at you. You gonna see how I treat you is different. You gonna ask, what's up? How come I don't hear from you no more? Man, I'm just distancing myself from you because me and you ain't rocking the same. You don't talk the same. Everything you do is different. When I come at you about something positive, your response is to shut me down or to be negative. Constructive criticism is key in every way, and I take it very wonderful. But if you just got criticism and no constructiveness to it, no solutions to my joy, or no solutions to my problem, then obviously I know how to deal with you. I don't talk to you this way. I don't come at you this way because you put yourself in that way, in that place. And so this is where you stay at. Ain't nothing else.
I
Ain't
think
nothing
for
wrong with it.
me, I see, I understand what you're saying. And my only with it is not having that
I love
conversation
it.
because you don't know what people are going through. Yes, they could treat you some kind of way one day, but you don't know. They could have just gotten sideswiped on the road and was having an awful day, and you just happened to get the short end of the stick. And now you're treating them. You put this wall up because they had a trash day and didn't even give them an opportunity to say you were like trash today. Like what happened?
You know
What's going
what?
on? Like I I'm an over communicator. I think that's one of my
Greatest things
positives and
about you.
negatives. Like if I see if we have an issue, if I feel the energy has changed, that's the first thing I'm like, what's going on with you? Your energy is a little weird. What you got some stank energy? What's happening right now? Right? And I'm giving them the opportunity, and I probably say that those exact words. And I give them the opportunity to be like, oh yeah, it's me. I have this going on, or oh no, it's our relationship. I have this going on, and then from there, I can shift and move as I need to. But I'm not going to assume anything.
Exactly.
I'm not.
Exactly.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak your piece. And this like goes back to our last conversation. I'm not going to leave relationships in turmoil. I'm going to say what I need to say. I'm going to say how what you did made me feel. I'm going to say all the things and then let you say whatever it is that you need to say and then make my decision from there.
Exactly.
Not assuming anything.
When I made my suggestions and how I do about it and why I do about it, and in my mind, we've already had that discussion. You choose to continue to act by you continue to choose and violate my boundaries and respect. So therefore, this is what you get. I'm acting different with you because when I hit you up, you don't hit me back up. When I call you, you don't text me. When I say what's
Right.
up,
We're not chasing
like I'm
people.
not chasing you, bro. If I hit you up when I check up
Right.
on you, bet your response to me, you gonna call me back. Cool. That's it. I'm waiting on that call. Don't be like, I ain't heard from you, bro. I'm still waiting on that phone call. You said you was gonna hit me up 2 months ago.
I ain't heard from you.
I ain't heard
Yeah.
from you. I'm respecting your boundaries. You said you gonna call me back. Bet I got you. Waiting for that call though. You feel me? So it's like that. So I give you what you put out there, and then for some people, it is what it is. That's how it works out though. But that's the dynamic of dealing with the toxicity of family and friends. You give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not one to say write them off quickly, but you give people a certain amount of chances. Now, I would recommend if you're gonna do it, give them a single digit amount of chances. If your number is 8 or 9, keep it there. Don't give nobody double digits because the double digits turn into triple digits. Mm-mm.
I feel like
Single.
that's not a rule. You can't just make that rule about everybody because everybody's different. It's like
Nah,
children.
nah, no. Listen. When I
You can have a blanket punishment for all your
no,
kids.
but,
Like it doesn't work.
just
Everybody's
like no,
different. Everybody needs something
no,
different.
everybody's different, but you can't give them double digits. Double digits is the bad way to go. You like when you get the nine. Listen. You can divide 8 into 4. Okay, you get 4 plus 4 gives you 8. You know what
Lisa, you look like you have things to say. What? Say
I'm saying?
something. Say something,
I
Lisa.
just finished my probability and statistics homework. I don't need another lesson. Thank you for your math, Mike. I really appreciate it. But Annie, you said you asked them, you kind of probe them until they tell you what's wrong, right? You said the
Well,
person
no, because sometimes they won't tell you what's wrong, and that's I opened the door. I gave you a platform. Whether you choose to speak on it or not
okay.
is up to you. Yeah.
You
That
gave them
part.
the platform, but what if they are I'm the complete opposite of how I was brought up. So Ken and Barbara usually brush it under the rug. That was the 70s and the 60s. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. What happened in the home stayed in the home. Y'all remember those sayings?
It
Mm-hmm.
stayed
Um,
in the home. You didn't talk about it even in the home.
correct. If
Right.
it happened in the home, you didn't. I'm sorry. She's trying to make an appearance. I apologize.
Oh.
With that being said, what if they don't have the ability to articulate? No. If they don't have the ability to articulate what's wrong with them, and
Okay,
say,
no,
Right.
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
Right.
How do you get your
no.
platform to
You know
blossom?
what? Okay,
But
so
that's
the inability. Hold on, I'll answer that. The they're not capable of articulating their feelings. Then you basically have to meet them at their level. Find something that is simple for them to basically break something down. Easy. Like for instance, they're not capable of articulating verbally straight up about something, but they can talk to you about a movie or song or shopping or hair, God knows whatever. You make that segue into whatever it is that they're interested in, and then you say sports. Great analogy with the jersey. Go with that. Talk about sports, and then at that point, leading into other things, and then you get to that
mm-mm.
thing. No, no, no.
Miss
Okay.
Jordan, can you give us the guidance, please, ma'am?
Risa, were you gonna say something? Your face
I
is saying a whole
just
lot of something.
trying to probe somebody. I'm the type of person, if I've told you I don't want to talk about it and you keep probing me, you're gonna push me further away to just
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
want to open up about anything because I maybe need that space to process whatever I'm going
Yes.
through and let me choose when I want to tell you what I want to tell you.
Right.
Because you can't force somebody to tell you anything. And so if you force that, you may push them
Right.
away. Or
Here's
you
the
may
thing.
be opening up a door for something that you weren't ready to accept into your life, and may
Right.
mess up your whole energy. Because you now, whenever you open that door, when people be like, oh, how are you doing? Your immediate thought is, oh, they're just gonna say I'm good and keep it moving. What if you open up that door and now they done spilt a whole can
Mm-hmm.
of beans on you, not a whole rest of your day messed up because somebody done spilt their traumas on you?
Do you guys feel like we as women we do that though? We're like the problem solvers. What's wrong? You all right? You good?
Yep,
You
Yeah,
okay?
of
yep, yep.
course.
Yeah, because men don't do it. Men don't
But
do
a
it.
lot of that comes from
Mike,
trauma,
I
though.
needed you to give a pause before you said yes so quickly. More
A
towards the
lot of
ladies.
that comes from trauma because, and even when you, and Mike and I have talked about this before, like a lot of times you hear people talking about how they're empathic, how they sense that, energy has shifted or people are in this weird space and they can feel it. But that is a learned thing based on trauma. In my household, it was not safe. And so I had to learn to be hyper vigilant to people's emotions. I had to be extra sensitive to what other people were feeling because that determined whether I need to run and hide or I'm safe in this space and I can be myself, right? And so as feminine beings, we are more in tune to that stuff. Mm-hmm. We are natural nurturers. So between that and the trauma we already had, yeah, if anybody is feeling some kind of way, it's like, oh, I noticed you're feeling some kind of way. What's going on? I had a partner and he was all kinds of bad energy, just doing all kinds of craziness. And I was like, hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And he was like, I'm fine. And I was like, well, you don't seem kind of fine. This is what I'm seeing. And he was like, I just said I'm fine. Why you gotta do that? And I'm just, okay, I'm just gonna, obviously not fine, but I'm gonna go. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go. And that goes back to what Risa said, like pushing people when they're not ready to talk about it. People saying they're fine when obviously we know they're not fine is another way of saying, I am in this space that maybe I can't even tolerate. And I just want to be in this space by myself, whether it's because I need time to process or whether it's because I need time to wind down. But I need my space. And in those situations, all you can do, you've created a platform, they've chosen not to accept that platform. All you can do is hold space for them. These are the things that I've noticed. These are the symptoms that I'm seeing. This is what behavior I'm picking up on. When you're ready to talk, I'm here.
Okay.
That's really all that you can do. Because if you keep on pushing, just like Risa said, you're going to push them right out the door. And if you don't say, these are the things I'm seeing, then you're not giving them the opportunity to have self-awareness. Because they may think, and this is like with that same partner, I'm having a bad day. My emotional energy is spewing all over the place. So I'm just going to lock myself in the basement. It's not going to impact anybody else because I'm locked away in the basement. Mm-hmm. No, you're locked away in the basement. But when you come up, we feel the tidal waves of all your craziness. Yeah. So I need to tell you, whatever you're doing is not working. And give you the opportunity, like Risa said, to go sit down and process. And when you're ready, I'm letting you know, we're going to have this conversation, but when you're ready. And you can say whatever it is you need to say.
I apologize. Have you ever run into demasculating a man when something like that happens? You know what I mean? Like, do you worry about their pride in that moment? Let's say it's with their partner, and you're like, clearly you're not ready to talk about this. When you're ready to talk about it, come and talk to me. And that's what you do with little kids too. Have you ever seen that study before?
Because in that space, they are literally like little kids.
Yeah. How do you avoid from hurting their pride in a sense? Like you're in timeout, go to your room type situation. Do you see what I'm saying?
Risa, were you going to say something?
I was going to say personally, I've dealt with this with a partner, and I feel like when I can tell that something like, you're saying you're okay, I know you're not, let me just put that disclaimer out there. Like, if you feel comfortable enough to discuss it with me, I'm here. Right. I don't have to make commentary on what you're discussing with me. If it just needs to be for me to be a listening ear, I can be that for you. And I want you to feel that I'm a safe space to be able to do that. So I kind of leave it at that kind of open door, like whenever that is that you feel comfortable to discuss, you can.
And that's exactly
Hmm.
Right, and that's exactly what I was referring to when I'm saying holding space, because a lot of times people feel like, okay, you're feeling some kind of way, and us talking about it needs to be a two-way conversation. But that's not the case. I am here for you. I'm providing a safe space for you to share what you're experiencing, to process, or to tell me the results of what you've already processed. But again, for me, like, and you brought up the whole the idea of demasculinizing. For me, it's allowing them to recognize um, you're in a safe space even when you feel unsafe. And yes, that is sometimes how we talk to children. But a lot of times when people are triggered, that's where they revert back to that inner child.
Mhm.
And you just need somebody to nurture you or to provide a space for you to be nurtured. I'm not going to lecture you, I'm not going to belittle you, but I am going to let you know that I see you and I'm here for you. And so if that hurts your pride because you were raised to believe that you're a man and you have to shoulder it on your own, well, that's some
Mhm.
reflection that you need to be reflecting on. So that's
We
just
got 56 minutes on the clock. We've been doing pretty good on that. Segment's normally an hour long. We're not going to take up too much of this time. So, Jordan, you got any last questions you want to get out the way real quick?
I do, but they're not going to be able to be completed in a handful of minutes. So,
All right, good.
with that being, because that's the next question is going to dive us into a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
So, with that, I'm just going to take this time to just wrap it up and package it. So, we've had some really great discussions about what the term family means to you and how our actual blood family reflects our expectations or aligns with our expectations. We talked about some strategies that we use to protect our mental and emotional well-being. And so, with that being said, do you have any last minute thoughts or any words of inspiration for people who are navigating unhealthy relationships with family members? Nothing? Nobody?
Rissa, you got anything to say? We're gonna call out individuals here, so gives them a
Oh
reason to
my.
speak. Rissa,
You see,
I think he picks
you're
on
bad
Rissa.
with this.
I'm just
He
being honest.
does.
He does pick on you.
I I feel like I'm a firm believer now as I've grown to have my own family of creating safe spaces for myself, for my child, for my loved ones that, I keep my space, tight. Like I don't want outside negative energy of any sort.
Right.
If I feel funny about something, I'm gonna just keep it away from me, far away from me. So I just feel like family is who you choose to be your family. Definitely not biological because sometimes family hurts you the worst because they know the
Right.
most about you.
Right.
Sometimes friends hurt you the worst and you consider them family. So
Right.
you have to protect your energy, protect your space, protect like your mental because people are draining sometimes. So I feel like you try to surround yourself with people that can pick up where you lack sometimes
And
and
build you
be
up.
able to recognize when you're not like yourself and be able to try to help guide you back to that person that they knew you to be or the best version of you that you can be.
Hmm.
Rissa, Team Aries, pew pew pew. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
To
Lisa,
be both Aries, we're such opposites. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Know your value. Know your limits. Accountability to those near and far. And don't be afraid to cut people out. Sometimes good energy, sometimes energy is not always good.
Mm.
Acknowledge it, hold those accountable, and when all else fails, cut it out.
All right. And that is a wonderful conclusion to our show today.
Thank you so
Reaching
much.
an hour. We did a great job. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
I appreciate everybody's feedback and please stay tuned. Everyone that's watching, thank you for watching us. We appreciate it. If you got any
Thank
comments,
you.
concerns, or questions, or even suggestions, please
Drop them in the comments.
Comments, follow, like, subscribe, all of those great things. We appreciate it. If you know any of these ladies, follow, like, subscribe. We appreciate it. Um, Ladies, if you don't mind, please stay tuned afterwards so we can go over some things with you. Okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
And with that being said, thank you for joining us on the Beyond the Sum of Our Parts. Until next time, bye.